There is a specific, quiet dread that haunts almost everyone if they think about it long enough. The fear of leaving behind a gravestone that nobody visits. The anxiety that eventually you will become a person who was never alive at all. For New York-based recording artist and producer Nathan Histed, this fear is the primary creative driver. Without children to inherit and pass down his legacy, he realized his story would only survive if he built the preservation vessel himself. Leaving a lasting legacy today is exceptionally fragile. We operate in an ecosystem where your words, your image, and your history can be instantly manipulated by generative AI or buried by shifting social media algorithms. His countermeasure is the construction of a master release vault. It is a tightly controlled multimedia time capsule spanning original pop music, raw audio documentaries, and visual design, engineered to lock his precise narrative into the historical record. If an independent creator fails to actively author and defend their own history right now, the algorithms will eventually write a convenient fiction for them. To build a vault that could survive entirely outside the traditional industry, Histed first had to reverse engineer how that industry functioned. He spent his early career intentionally studying the mechanics of mainstream pop and R&B, looking for the leverage points that would allow him to bypass corporate gatekeepers. He began by establishing a strong foundation in visual design. By 2013, this work led to a professional commission to design the official cover art for Champion, a solo charity single released by TLC founding member Tion T. Boz Watkins. In parallel, he mapped out the vocal architecture of 90s R&B. He dedicated hours to dissecting the dense harmonic structures and precise pitch control of Brandy, an artist widely revered as the vocal Bible. Operating as a graphic designer and a vocal engineer required entirely different skill sets, but merging them gave him a rare advantage. He could write a track, produce the complex vocal stacks, and then immediately pivot to designing the visual branding required to market it. Mastering the traditional mechanics of pop culture allowed Histed to replicate the entire creative supply chain on his own terms. That independence is currently culminating in his debut cinematic era, titled It's Time. But operating as a self-contained entity carries a massive logistical weight. On any given track, Histed holds 14 to 16 separate credits, serving simultaneously as the writer, producer, vocal arranger, and art director. This forces a grueling, isolated workflow. There is no executive producer in the booth to tell him when a vocal take is finished, or if a lyric is landing. He has to provide his own objective feedback, a process of extreme micromanagement that often results in up to 13 different iterations of a single song. The psychological toll of working in this vacuum is heavy. Because his lyrics document intense personal traumas, he frequently battled severe imposter syndrome, admitting that repeatedly singing about his past pain left the words feeling completely fake in his own throat. You can hear that painful extraction process clearly on his track Rock Bottom. Listeners often assume the song reflects a present-day crisis, but the reality is much more deliberate. The track is actually an embellished version of a 5-year-old journal entry, capturing a terrifying moment of lost identity during a panic attack in the back of an Uber. It is a snapshot of history, carefully reworked for a modern release. To forge a universal anthem that resonates with a wider audience, a creator has to be willing to dig up their darkest moments, hold them up to the light, and painstakingly mold them into something new. This diagram shows how the Master Release Vault operates as a complete transmedia ecosystem. Original music, visual merchandising, and spoken word audio all interact in a closed network, with every piece of art reinforcing the truth of the others. The foundation of the system is his podcast, Raw History. What began as a vulnerable audio diary to process grief and mental health struggles evolved into a highly engaged platform for intense public advocacy. He uses that direct line to his audience to dissect systemic issues, notably dedicating episodes to examine the extreme control and conservatorship trauma forced upon pop icons like Britney Spears. By aligning his listeners with his critiques of institutional control, Histed prepares them for the themes in his original music. It is a 360-degree economy that lets him completely bypass traditional media and monetize his unfiltered truth directly with his audience. All of these isolated creative experiments ultimately culminated in the release of a highly anticipated single titled First Place. Almost immediately, the track gained unexpected viral traction. Within hours, it surged to the #1 spot on Facebook's trending audio charts, amassing thousands of streams. The most significant validation arrived in the form of a public endorsement from Willie Norwood, the vocal coach and father of Brandy, the artist Histed had spent his life studying. A public nod from a central figure in Brandy's inner circle validated Histed's years of isolation, signaling that his work had reached the precise audience that originally inspired it. Documenting the good, the bad, and the ugly in its rawest form transformed his private archive into an active lifeline for listeners navigating their own demons. In an age dominated by curated algorithms and corporate gatekeepers, seizing total control of your own narrative is a way to touch a single life and secure a lasting memory. Nathan Histed has ensured that long after he is gone, his story will remain exactly as he wrote it.